Okay, the recording
Yeah.
started once
Now it's
again.
okay. Yeah.
It happens, right? Okay, the technical glitch. Okay, no problem. Yeah. So let me share the screen. Share. I was sharing this. Okay. So this is um, there are more columns here. This is more advanced sensor in some sense. Maybe it has been processed in somehow. X, Y, Z, and then illuminance, reflectance, intensity. All these are surface properties. All these are surface properties. Remember, this is not typical RGB. These are some other features that are stored in this KME underscore planes dot XYZ. And also there is another feature, number of returns variable. I don't understand what is that. So let us ignore this. So you have this X, Y, Z, illuminance, reflectance, and intensity. And when you visualize some structure, we are not sure some structure is we are seeing in the first view where we see X versus Z, and here we see Y versus Z. We see the first view, and this is the second view. Okay, looks like some structure is there, but we are not able to view it properly. Now let us try something. We do some kind of noise filtering. So noise filtering means we um, eliminate those values which are higher than some means. So in the z coordinates, I mean in the z coordinates, I mean things which are far away, we are removing that those values, right? And this mask, when it is applied, some kind of filtering, some kind of data filtering. Uh, so this is the mask that is obtained by those values which are more than mean, and some kind of filtering is applied with that mask. Go through this. I mean, try to understand what is done here. When they are projected, we try to and we don't try to guess. It is visible. These are the aircraft structure. These are the aircraft structure taken from perhaps some drone flying over some airport area, the runway area, and that captured this point cloud data. And with this data, you can do further stuff. For example, I mean, this is a plain Python syntax. There is nothing to explain. I'm just explaining the data structure and what is the story behind this. So there is no point in explaining the Python syntax because this is an advanced section, right? Now, with this image, can we do some quick machine learning? So look at our data. We have this kind of data, and with this data, if we do just k-means clustering, two cluster, we try to see these two planes, the two aircrafts in two different groups. We can do that with k-means clustering on this data set. And this data set is the 2D projection, of this multi-column data. So if we do this 2D projection, so here you can see X and Y, and mask is because we did some filtering, noise filtering here, the masking. Here is the masking. Uh, and because of this noise filtering, all the, I mean, the unnecessary points got eliminated. And when we do a simple 2D filtering on this data, we separate these two aircraft structure in 2D plane. So nice little machine learning tricks. There is nothing required. But what we are doing is we are working on this point cloud data. So you know this kind of heuristics to understand what would be the optimum number of clusters. That's what I uh, I mean, plotted here. So with this, you have got some idea of various kinds of data sets that are used in computer vision, not only image. You can get to see other advanced sensor data that contribute to visual task. Now, I said visual task. What are the different kinds of visual tasks that are used in computer vision? Let us quickly see what are the different kinds of visual tasks that are used. One is, okay, let me share the slide. So these are the fundamental tasks in 2D computer vision. So I left 3D computer vision. I showed you how the 3D data is uh, obtained with LiDAR sensor or other depth sensor, uh, and how they are processed, how they are analyzed. But uh, uh, going deep into the 3D computer vision, for example, understanding the 3D geometry of 3D data, that requires extensive discussions, maybe a semester level class. So it is not possible in this a short time. So what we would focus now is on 2D computer vision. And in 2D computer vision, these are the important visual tasks. For example, in e-commerce application, we can have this kind of application where we classify this image. So look, each image here, each image has a dominant object. Every image has a dominant object. For example, here, this image has two persons. But here, each image has a dominant object that is the image of some apparel, right? This is t-shirt, this is a full shirt, this is another t-shirt, this is frock. Now, can we build one classifier that can classify this dominant object? So this task is known as image recognition, and image recognition is solved as machine learning classification problem. So if we have k kinds of apparels, the idea is to employ k class classifier, and when we build the k class classifier with the right training data, we have this k class classifier that can act as image recognition engine. So this is one computer vision task, image recognition, where the image has a dominant object. What is the second computer vision task? The second computer vision task can be face detection. Detection or localization. Detection or localization means where the object is present in the image. Where? The question is where, the location. That's why detection is a localization problem. And how it is expressed? We express it by drawing a bounding box. Drawing a bounding box around this object. For example, we are detecting faces. So if we draw a bounding box around each face of a human being, these are the two faces. So if we draw a bounding box around each face, then we have a face detection task. If you can train a computer vision model to detect faces, the computer vision model would be able to draw bounding boxes around every face in the image. That task is called detection or localization. So in case you are interested how these things are done, let me know. I would be quickly walking you through the detection, at least the detection. Actually, detection is pretty easy. You are solving the image classification problem for image patches. It's a patch-wise image classification problem, and whichever patch has this face, that patch is labeled as the bounding box. This is how it is solved. Anyway, the another thing is called pose identification. Pose. And this pose identification problem, I would show you a demo. This pose identification problem, we would be walking through a code. The pose identification problem, for example, here is a player, and what is his pose? So pose identification problem is fitting a skeleton, and the skeleton is numbered this way. Each joint has a unique number, and this skeleton needs to be mapped, or the other way around. His figure needs to be mapped over this skeleton, so that every point is overlapped on the corresponding joint of this player. So this is called pose recognition, and it requires identifying the key points. Key points means this joint coordinates, identifying the key points on the body of this player, and at the same time maintaining the relationship. I mean, if you get a weird, I would say, configuration that doesn't follow the typical constraints of a human body, then it is not valid. So there has to be uh, regular spatial relationship. So two things are important: identifying the key points on this player's body, and at the same time they need to follow a graphical relationship. I mean, the relationship among them. So there is the segmentation task. Segmentation is, so what we covered so far. We covered image recognition, object location, where the object is, and we covered the key points for pose recognition. And now we are covering more finer stuff. I mean, we are trying to understand which pixel has which element. I mean, for example, here we see a car, a vehicle. Now, if I ask you, what are the pixels that are covering this vehicle, or what are the pixels that are covering this road? Will you be able to say? You will be able to say if you employ a segmentation engine. If you train a segmentation AI, then the segmentation engine would be able to give you the pixel coordinates of every class. So there are maybe 8 or 9 classes: car, road, trees, sky, and every pixel tells you which class it belongs to. This is the segmentation problem. Contour identification, right? This is the segment, means pixel level classification, that is called segmentation. So detection is given by bounding boxes. Recognition, image recognition, is given by just image level tag. Pose recognition is given by a skeleton, I mean a graph. Key points connected to the right neighbors. This is called a graph. So the pose is given by a graph, and segmentation is given by pixel level uh, class configurations. Now, all these things, not all, maybe detection, key points, and segmentation, if you consider over time, they become tracking. Mostly done with the bounding boxes, because bounding boxes are very easy to use for tracking. So when these cars are moving, it is easy to track them in bounding boxes. But you can also use contour tracking. Contour tracking is used for microscopic applications. When you are tracking the life of some cancer cells, how long they are living. Perhaps you have administered some drugs, and you are studying the life of these cancer cells. You track them. Are they dividing? Is there cell division taking place? So you track them over time with the bounding boxes or with the contour. Are they growing in size? So there you use contour tracking. You track the contour. First, you segment the cell this way. You first segment the cell. So this is the segment of maybe there are 2 cells or maybe more. And this is the image. And this is the image. The tth image. Tth image. What happens in t plus 1? T plus 1. Perhaps this cell ceases to exist. It died in the t plus 1th image. So you have these 3 cells. So if you segment them, then the problem becomes contour tracking. Okay. So we have a fair idea of computer vision tasks and their models to solve them. For example, the models that are used here are ResNet, and the model that is used here is YOLO, and the model that are used here is what are the model used in pose recognition? OpenPose, HRNet. These are the models that are used here. And YOLO has evolved a lot, and YOLO is also used for segmentation. There is another model called UNet for segmentation. These are the standard models used for segmentation purpose. For object tracking, there is called SORT, SORT, simple object recognition, or simple object sort. What is the full? I'm forgetting. Sort. So search it out. SORT, sort. So sort is used for object tracking problem. So these are the I would say the industry standard models for computer vision task, and you'd be you should know them, how at least by name, how they work. So SORT is simple online real-time tracking. That's how it is named, simple online real-time tracking. So that is used for tracking purpose. A comment or question? What is prominent in this image? Oh, I see. I see what you were asking. I see what you were asking. Okay, let me answer. So prominent means there is only a single object. For example, take the image of this image. This image has only a single object. That's why it is called the prominent or the dominant object. I won't say dominant. Dominant is when there are multiple objects, but one is the largest one present. So that's why, I mean, okay, since you asked, let me walk you through the. I actually ignored some of the earlier slides. Okay, perhaps we have this kind of data set. Perhaps we have this kind of data set. Each one is an image, and each image has a single object, right? But here you see it has got 2 objects. One, a support, and the other where the support is resting. I mean, sorry, where the object is resting on the support. So this is the support, and the shoe is resting on the support. What is the prominent object? Since it's an e-commerce website, the or maybe from context you'd be knowing that the object is actually the shoe. It is not this support. It is not for sale. This shoe is for sale. That's why I'm calling this as the prominent object. Now, when you classify this object, are you going to classify this as this structure or the shoe, or perhaps here? Are you going to classify this trouser as this structure that is what it is hanging from? This is not the prominent object here. The prominent object is this trouser. Again, here, the prominent object is this dress. We can understand from the context that we are not selling this hanger. That is not the prominent object. The prominent object is the dress that we are selling, right? So when you label this image, for classification, when you label this image for classification, you would be actually labeling this image as maybe uh, what is the right name of this image? I don't know, some kind of dress, right? Maybe shirt, something like this. Or this one is a trouser. I won't label this image as shoe, right? Shoe is not the prominent object. This trouser is the prominent object. Here, this hanger is not the prominent object. This t-shirt is the prominent object. That's how you label the image. Once you label the image, for example, we are solving this problem t-shirt. We are building one engine that recognize, we are training one AI that recognizes t-shirts. How can I build a t-shirt recognition engine? I put all the t-shirt images in one folder. I put all the non-t-shirt images in another folder, and then I train my machine learning model. Once the machine learning model is trained, I deploy it, and the user, perhaps one e-commerce user, you are helping one e-commerce user, and the e-commerce user has a lot of dresses to classify. She uploads these dresses one by one to the ML model that you trained with this, and the ML model classifies this image in the right category. So this way, when you are putting things in right folder, this is what we called image annotation. You are annotating those images, or you are labeling these images. Perhaps my answer is clear. Someone who asked, what is this prominent image? This is how you train one AI. But this is elementary for you. You know all these things. I told you in order to give you some context. So going back to the slide that we discussed, let me show you something here. How we detect objects. So we detect object this way. We do image classification for every patch. For example, we are detecting faces of the students. We uh, classify the image patches, and we slide over this entire image. We slide over this entire image. Wherever we are seeing, we are finding the face, that is how we are locating each face, and there are multiple faces. We do this for all the students, and Chhattisgarh government actually used this thing for identifying the number of students present in the class. This is a useful application uh, of computer vision for identifying number of students in the class. How is the class attendance? If you have this kind of query, you can use computer vision for this kind of stuff. Any questions so far? So what we get to see, so this slide is the important slide. These are the 2D computer vision, the usual computer vision task, and we have models for them, and I mentioned the models. This is ResNet is widely used. Again, I'm repeating this. The YOLO is widely used, and for here, this is OpenPose, HRNet, MediaPipe, and segmentation is done by various other models, and sort is something that is used for object tracking. Any questions so far? If not, then I would be walking you quickly through two things. One is this object detection. Uh, this one, we would be going through this with object detection, and the other is pose recognition too. Pose recognition. Okay, that would be our demo. So this requires a deeper discussion. If I have to show you the mathematical interpretation, I mean, so for context, perhaps everyone can see. One intern has asked what are the structural differences between a classification loss and a localization loss. I don't understand it. You don't understand it because I have not explained it. I have not mentioned it. It is not possible to show you the mathematical uh, the mathematical perspectives or mathematical intuition even I mean within this short time. If I go into the theory side, I would be missing on the application side, and there are a whole lot of things to discuss. Some of the law specific discussions have been covered in the last class, I mean yesterday's class, but definitely localization was not used here. But let me try to give you some idea when I would be covering the next demo. So let me walk you through the demo, and perhaps I can answer your question to some extent, not to a good extent. There. Let me ask you something. What are the classification losses you know? And if you know the classification losses as I showed you, can you do patch classification with the sliding window technique that I just showed you? Uh, and can you do that? If you can do that, you are already on your path to solving the object detection, object localization problem, because you are uh, classifying each patch, and in doing so, you are actually estimating its position. So this very basic idea is used in sophisticated object detection algorithms. This is the basic idea. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is let me share. Uh, Sorry, we need to speed up because we have a lot of things to cover. Drives.
Sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
Sujata. Are you
Mhm.
sharing your screen?
No, 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 I'm just setting
Okay,
up things.
okay,
I'm sorry about
okay,
that.
okay. Yeah, no problem. Okay, okay.
Unfortunately, Google Colab is very slow today. Okay. So coming to the object detection problem, object detection means where the object is present in the image. There can be multiple objects. For example, I showed you the image of students sitting in the class. And if you want to detect Vidisha, could you kindly stop the sharing access of all the students?
Yes, it was taught. I don't know how they. Sorry for the. Yes, Sujata, you can go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry for the
So no,
disturbance.
no, it's okay. Some
Students,
technical issues.
again, I'm requesting all of you, if I'm getting anything like that, father mode, you will be directly removed from the class. I won't give you any further reminder on this.
So we have now a very interesting demo of how the objects, for example, just to um, connect with our past discussion, we are identifying objects in the images. That means we are identifying their locations in the image with bounding boxes, and that's what we are going to do it with this example. So this is the I remember I told you YOLO is the industry standard model that is used widely for this kind of purpose. Let me show you the example first. So in this image, we see a bus, two persons, and another person partially visible. This is very challenging problem. This person is partially visible, but still the model is able to identify its position. And I told you that these objects are their locations are specified with bounding boxes. So remember the slide, remember my slide. If you want to see my slide once again, let me know. I would show you my slide. The various computer vision tasks, we are discussing the object detection task right now, and the object detection happens with bounding boxes drawn around the objects. Right now we are interested in two kinds of objects, bus and person, and there are three bounding boxes actually. um, no, four. Sorry, there are four persons bounding boxes. One is this, one is this, another is this, and another is this, which is only hand is visible, but still it is able to identify that person. Yellow is actually industry grade because of this rare ability. I mean, even partially visible, when the partial visibility is maybe 30% or 20%, even then yellow is able to work. But one thing you must note is the confidence measure. When the entire object is present, yellow is very confident. It's giving 0.92. So it is scaling its confidence on the scale of 0 and 1. So when it is 92%, that means it is very confident about this bus. And when the human figure is totally visible, it is more than 90% confident here. But when it is partially visible, the confidence is falling. The confidence level is 0.87. When the person is barely visible here, the confidence level is further falling to 0.53. Okay, so let us see how YOLO works. I mean, no, how we can use YOLO. How YOLO works is a big discussion. I am not going to get that time. How we can use YOLO, that is a better way to frame this question. You can do that by, so I use this Ultralytics library, very widely used library. So pip install Ultralytics, nothing magical here. You already know all these things. I import YOLO from Ultralytics because Ultralytics provides other models too, other AI models too. For example, SAM. We would be studying SAM soon. So Ultralytics, we need to move faster. A lot of things to cover. So the Ultralytics has YOLO, and we import YOLO. Now these are the steps. We load the YOLO 26 model. PT is the model extension. We load the YOLO model this way, and there are various way you can mention the source. There are various ways. One way is to give the link. This is the link of this image, and I provide the source link. You can provide source link as a screenshot. You can input an image from video. You can input image as file. You can input image, as I said, from screenshot. So there are many ways you can input image. I input the image from this source link, and then this is the model, YOLO model, pre-trained model. This is not about training. We don't have time to train model in this 2 hour span. This is just inference. This model is pre-trained model, and I passed this image through this model, and the results are this object is storing various kinds of inferences delivered by yellow. For example, boxes, masks, key points. These are the probabilities for the classification score. A lot of things are there. Now, I would visualize the bounding boxes with the results.show, and if I visualize, I get to see this kind of stuff. So these are the steps. First, you load the model, you input the image, and then you get the results in the results object, and you visualize the results. Okay. So the next thing is that here I showed you how you can do batch processing. For example, you don't have a single image. You have whole lot of image. For example, the e-commerce example. You are helping one e-commerce business person, and she has perhaps 1,000 images, and she wants you to classify all those images, or where things are. Maybe you are actually helping law enforcement service in Kolkata, and Kolkata police is asking you, can you identify all the pedestrians in this 2 hour long videos? So you get the frames from the videos, and you apply YOLO, and you get you dump all the bounding box coordinates in one CSV file with the appropriate frame numbers. In those cases, this kind of construction is important. You give the image sequence as input, and you get all the results here. Okay. And this one is a little bit advanced problem, where you show the mask on the respective person. For example, how I can show the mask, and mask is actually available here. I mean, the mask is available in the result.masks attribute, and this is one example of showing the mask on them. Okay, so this is how YOLO works. You can use a pre-trained YOLO. My question is, how many classes are there? This is homework question. So I have shown you 2 classes, persons, buses. How many classes YOLO can identify? Those are your homeworks. You can do that. And the next demonstration would be the pose recognition, how you can do pose recognition. So pose recognition can be done with MediaPipe. MediaPipe is a library from Google, and you can do MediaPipe this way. This is a hand image. You read the hand image, and then since OpenCV reads image in a different order, OpenCV reads image in BGR format, and you need to convert them to RGB. So this is the conversion taking place. Once we convert the BGR to RGB, you can use this conversion from for taking the image into the MediaPipe object. So MediaPipe format, you have to take the image to MediaPipe format. Here there are 2 arguments. This argument is the input image, and this argument is the standard RGB that you are mentioning. What is your input image format, and you are trying to convert it to the MediaPipe format. This is what it does. And this is detecting the key points and constructing the pose. This is how the pose gets constructed on the hand. I would say the finger poses are displayed on the hand image. This is what the MediaPipe does. The MediaPipe library performs this hand image pose recognition, and you can do the same thing for full body pose recognition, and also on the face. I mean, if you want to overlay a mesh on the face image, you can use Google's MediaPipe library. So what you need to see is the template. There is no point in memorizing the code. In today's world, ChatGPT, Gemini, they are uh, delivering code in lightning speed. What you need to know is the pattern, the coding pattern, what follows what, the logic behind this coding pattern. For example, uh, the objects that you need to import, and the what are the pre-processing techniques that you need to do. For example, when you are reading in the OpenCV format, it needs to be converted from BGR to RGB. And then the image format needs to be taken from the NumPy version to the MediaPipe version. And then only MediaPipe can work on this. This pattern is important instead of memorizing the whole code. Okay. So that's why I would be sharing you this code, and I would definitely encourage you to take a look at this code. So going back to the this example, going what going back to the slide, this fundamental computer vision task. Um, the next thing that perhaps we want to move on to is I mean, the current technology. I mean, in pre-Chat GPT era, these were the standard techniques that computer vision practitioners used to do. But in the post-Chat GPT era, computer vision is no more only computer vision. Computer vision has become vision language discipline. Computer vision is not only about images, pixels, and intensities. Computer vision has got a language interface. And computer vision nowadays is seen through that language interface. And the initial models that actually advanced this field uh, are CLIP, 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 and SAM. CLIP came from OpenAI and SAM came from Meta. So we would be quickly taking a look at these two models, CLIP and SAM. So let me show you how CLIP works. Uh, just a minute, and let me know if you have any question. I can take question. SAM to example. So for studying CLIP, I would definitely I would be definitely recommending this library. OpenClip. And what it does is, if you open the clip model in Google Colab, So let me also see that clip open AI, that's right up. Okay, let me first walk you through this diagram. So what I told you is that in the initial days, the image classification, object detection, pose recognition, all these models, those are used. They didn't have the language interface, but with post chat GPT era, we now have a language interface to computer vision, and how it has been made possible, that I would try to I mean walk you through very briefly, because it's a vast field, and there, if you want to discuss, there are a lot to discuss. But the two, I would say, the seminal work is, one is Clip, another is this Sam. So what Clip did is, if you have an image and if you have a textual description of the image, the pain point is to bring them into a common feature space, project them onto a common feature space. Clip did that. How it did that is, when you have text, you convert them into some sort of embedding, right? And that's what the text encoder does. You have text, you do some text embedding and convert them into the text vector. And then if you have image, you encode the image into some form of vectorial presentation. Now, when you have this text embedding and when you have this image embedding, each image has its own description. So if you want to match this image with its corresponding description, then you can maximize the similarity score, and similarity score can be measured in various ways. One widely used similarity score that has been used here too is cosine similarity. Cosine similarity computes the similarity score between two vectors. So here, since this textual description can be converted to one vector through embedding and stuff like that, and image can also be converted to a vector, two vectors can be used to compute the similarity. Now see the diagonal elements are the correspondence between um, similar image and its description. For example, I1 is the image and T1 is its description. I2 is the image, T2 is the description. So these diagonal elements should be high and the off diagonal elements should be low. This way the loss function is designed. This way the loss function is designed. Someone asked about the loss function. This is another loss function. So this loss function is designed. If you want to go deeper into this, I can walk you through, but that is going to be heavy duty. But let me cover it. Let me see how much time we have. Then if somebody is interested, I can walk you through the training part of this thing. But the more important point is that the idea, the how image and text are both brought into a common feature space, that makes this language and vision possible. The description of an image in text started becoming possible with this kind of work. We gradually we moved into the chatting with the image. Now that is the common norm, but that started with this kind of work where we started comparing image with the text. Again, I repeat, image is converted with the image encoder with some vector. So I3 is a vector. You can think of I3, I1, I2 as some kind of vector. Where is the Uh, yeah, can I draw? Maybe I can. So I3 is some kind of vector. I2 is also a vector. I1 is also a vector. So this image is converted with the image encoder into a vector, and text, the corresponding text is also converted into vectors. These are the vectors. And I3, for example, take this I3 and T3, when this is the dot product. This means the dot product, which is actually cosine similarity. So when they are computed, I want these to be high and these elements to be low, these elements to be low, these elements to be low. The loss function is designed this way. I want this to be high. So this way, if you train a machine, then what happens is this. Mm, this open clip library, uh, clear all drawings. This open clip library, how I got it, this is the ML Foundation work. This open clip library, a beautiful work. It is actually pre-trained library. I mean pre-trained models. All these are all the pre-trained models, and I loaded this particular model, convnext base W, convnext base W. So this particular model, which is manageable on the Google Cloud, I loaded it. Now I did some image pre-processing and I did some text pre-processing. What I have is that these are the image description of these images, and this is one image name, this is one image name, this is the page image, this is the Chelsea image, this is the astronaut image, this is the rocket image. These images are there in the scikit-image library I told you, and these are the descriptions of each image. And this is a visualization, image and description, image and description, image description. Here, the point is, what I'm trying to show is, we already saw that an image should have high a cosine similarity score with the right text. Is it happening here too? Is it happening here too? So we have image, we have text. Can we pass the text through text encoder? Can we pass the image to image encoder, and then can we compute the cosine similarity? Can we compute the cosine similarity like this? And do we have the diagonal elements high and the off diagonal elements low? Will it happen with the pre-trained model? So that was the experiment that has been done here. So this text is passed through this text encoder, and this image is passed through this image encoder. And it is done for every image and text pair. And this is the cosine similarity you get. See, they are reasonably high. The off diagonal, the diagonal elements are reasonably high. For example, a facial photo of a tabby cat, and this is the cat image. And definitely this is the highest in this row and this column, right? And a page of text about segmentation. So this is a page of, what is interesting is that it is also recognizing the text written in this image. That is fascinating. And this has got high correlation value. So this is a beautiful project that you must take a look at, and you can use this as a zero-shot classification. Zero-shot classification, because it is not trained with the purpose of classification, but you can do this correlation coefficient scoring for classification task. For example, you pass the image. For example, this particular branch should explain this. You pass the image through this encoder and try to see the score for each of these texts. And these texts are the labels of classes. These texts are the labels of all the classes. Which class has the highest score? That gives you the classification score. I mean, you are computing correlation coefficient, sorry, cosine similarity, not correlation coefficient, the cosine similarity. You are computing the cosine similarity, but that cosine similarity is actually giving you the level of this class. How you do that? You do that this way. You pass this image through that branch, this branch, image encoder branch, and you compute this class-wide scores. This is class-wide scores, and you take the top three or four and visualize here. So I displayed the top three or four. So here, the cat is this score is highest, tiger. Motorcycle is the highest. All these are almost zero scores. And this is highest. It makes mistakes in some cases. Here, the text is compared with worm, which is absolutely meaningless. But it makes some mistakes, right? It is first said worm and then bottle. Maybe there's no good classes close to this. So perhaps it's a good time to take questions. So there is one question. You mentioned, someone is asking me, you mentioned vision language models replace traditional CV, but doesn't adding language introduce latency and computational overhead? Yeah, I mean, I don't know, replacing traditional CV is the right way of saying this thing, though even if I have said that, I want to be my own critic. Is this the true way of saying that? Because the pre-chat GPT models, they're still in use. They're, I mean, nobody is throwing YOLO away. YOLO's popularity is growing day by day. But the thing is that we also see rapid rise of vision language models. So we are seeing, I mean, things are coming up, but is one replacing the other? Time will tell that, but we are seeing interest in the vision language models. With this in mind, let me go to the real question that is coming from this comment. Doesn't adding language introduce latency and computational overhead? Yes, it does. A very good question. It does, but that is the price we pay, right? So there is a trade-off. That is the price we pay for what? For the increased flexibility. For example, let me see if I can share this thing. There is a wonderful slide I have. Uh, Maybe for privacy reason, I cannot share that slide because it is made for another company. But I can show you the paper that I actually mentioned in that slide. Um, Nice article that actually got published um, in Nature. Oops, let me find it out. Um, I'm not finding the paper. The idea of the paper, let me tell you the idea of the paper. If I If I find the paper, then I would be sharing with Bidisha, then Bidisha will be forwarding the paper to you. So the point is that the Nature paper argued that a time is coming when the pathologist and radiologist, they would be chatting with the image. In fact, they are doing it right now. So they are chatting with the image. That means something. That means that we have increased flexibility to find information in the image. For example, we are not restricted to find a tumor looking object in the image. I mean, this is what YOLO specific models used to do. The bounding boxes around a suspicious area, right? A tumor looking object in the MRI. So this is what you used to see in the pre chat GPT era. But nowadays we can ask that, does the periphery of the mass of the tumor or whatever, does the periphery look jagged? Because if it's jagged, if it is I mean irregular shape, then that raises the suspicion of the the radiologist. The irregular shape structure of the boundary, because the malignant tumors have a very irregular shape boundaries. You can ask, or I mean, w- what are the similar structures that you can fetch from the database? What happened in the past cases? So see, you are increasingly moving into an era where you are chatting with the image in the sense of the artificial general intelligence. I am not sure if that is the right term to say, if it is still the marketing word, or is it the right way we are moving? Is it the right direction we are moving into? I don't know. I mean, I'm also uh, watching the progress of the industry. I'm also monitoring the emerging technologies. But this is where I feel that the things are moving when we have the chance to uh, interact with the image in natural languages. For example, in another case where I was discussing this idea with my industry peers, is uh, there was a time, perhaps it is still needed, but to a lesser extent. You can uh, I mean, you are working with Microsoft Excel or Microsoft Power Project. You need expertise in those softwares, and if you do not know the specific use of the software, you won't be able to do advanced stuff. But nowadays, with the Microsoft Copilot, you can describe your objective in natural language, and you can get very advanced stuff done. So this is the benefit we get, and the price we pay is what one intern has rightly said, that adding language introduce latency and computational overhead. That is definitely the case. I agree with this critic, but the benefit that it fetches us is uh, increased flexibility that these conversational interfaces bring to us. So with this, we move on to the last part, that is the SAM. The SAM part is the follower of this clip. Clip is how the image is. What about CNN attention hybrid? That is the tool. We are not talking about the tool. CNN attention hybrid is actually how it is done. What is the question was, which direction this industry is moving, and is it reasonable? That was the question. Anyway, anyway, so let me show you. the SAM part. So where is the SAM? So we showed the clip. Clip is where you align the text with the image. But what about chatting with the image, or at least um, um, I would say the local level image information, how you can interact with the local level image information. So that is what the SAM let us do. Mm, so if I show you one example, you would be understanding. SAM 2. Yes, this is the SAM that came from the this Meta research lab. Same thing, you load the model, you give the image, and it shows you the bounding boxes. But here, what happens is that the better way is to, I mean, where the things, what I was showing you. Uh, you can actually give prompt. Perhaps, yes, you can actually give prompt. Here, I prompted it. You can give prompt in terms of bounding boxes. I prompted here when I'm passing this image to the model, I'm also prompting. Prompting can happen in the form of bounding boxes. Prompting can happen in the form of, where is that? In the form of points. And prompting can happen in the form of text. So in the text level prompting is done by SAM3. SAM3, if you want to see SAM3, you can find it out, but I couldn't find time to run SAM3. SAM3 was not, for some reason, it was not working on Google Colab. It was taking longer. So I thought I would show you SAM2. SAM2 is where you can give prompt in many ways. I mean, if I give this point prompt, so this point prompt means some point within this window, and it has drawn a bounding box around this object, and also masked this part, maybe the balcony part, the grill part. It has masked this. And if I supply the bounding box, then this masking is better. It has accurately masked this. Now, SAM2 allowed us to give prompt in the form of bounding boxes, in the form of point. But SAM3 is the latest one in this series that allows us to prompt in terms of text. You can give textual query. For example, I can give textual query, segment the person with gray jacket. Then SAM3 would be able to segment this person, or segment the two people clearly visible in the image. Then SAM3 would be segmenting these two people. Even I have seen, if you ask SAM3, draw bounding boxes around the faces of the persons visible in the image, they would draw bounding boxes around the faces. So this way of communicating with the image in natural language, that is the ideal, that is something that we are leveraging at this point. So with this, I bring this to the conclusion. There are a lot of things that we couldn't cover. One thing is definitely the 3D graphics, 3D computer vision, and the robotics computer vision interface, medical imaging, and the generative computer vision. But with these tools, you I mean, you have the basic idea now what are the fundamental computer vision tasks, and you know some of the tools that can be used to solve this computer vision task. That is the take home message for this 2 hour session. Any question? Otherwise, we would wrap it up here. No questions. Okay. Thank you, Bidisha, for your time, and thank you
Yeah.
everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Sujata. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.